um, 80s version of a post-apocalyptic point of view.
Sure, the grain adds to the gritty
Right.
effect, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like an understood part of film language now that this kind of quality of video equals, you know, surveillance, some kind of future scary world. So even when you have a perfectly good camera, if you're trying to communicate that feeling in film language terms, you go grab this Final Cut Pro filter called Bad Video and add it so that when people watch it, you know, after it's edited, they go, oh yeah, that's that whole feeling you get, that's that genre of, you know, the post-apocalyptic future surveillance video feel. It's almost cliche now.
Yeah.
But it also communicates very quickly. It's like a style, you know, like surf rock or whatever, but in visual terms, it's an understood aesthetic now.
Sure.
So for me, it was a happy accident.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even specifically, one of the things that that video filter does is you basically lose the signal for a few seconds, and you typically in the sound terms it goes, you know, and even when Obi-Wan is talking to Luke in Star Wars for the first time, the same sound, same like little glitch.
There's that little flicker.
Yeah, that little flicker. So it's a well understood thing in popular nerd science, you know, fiction stuff.
Sure.
It's called like the futuristic weird glitch, you know, or something.
So can we talk about the developer of the iPhone app?
Well, my best relationship I have right now that I've been doing a lot of work with are these guys called Winvolve. And they're W-I-N-V-O-L-V-E. The guy's name there is Mathis. He's been really supportive because we met when I started getting interested in augmented reality, and he was holding a conference. So we basically co-organized it, and it was a big success. And so we began this great relationship. He developed iPhone applications. He just did a big thing for Bell, and you know, smartphone, not just iPhone, like for the Android,
for the
BlackBerry, and all that kind of stuff. And you know, he helped me make that T-shirt. We kind of got an interesting partnership. Like I helped sort of get his name out, and you know, just by explaining what the hell AR is, because it's kind of like trying to explain the internet in the 80s or something.
It's a bunch of tubes.
Yeah. Basically, though, we just have a lot of fun. We both share a passion for augmented reality, and he's taught me a lot. I've already explained like phase 1 of the Eyeborg app, but phase 2 is in the same way that you use the video camera on your smartphone to look at the world, but you can look at the world with a smartphone video camera, and you can add reality to that world. It could be the spot where John Lennon died, and you could turn on your camera, and depending on which AR application you're using, you could see the ghost of John Lennon, or you could get more information about John Lennon's life, or the guy who killed him, or stuff like this.
Oh, sure.
It's a weird example, but the sky's the limit. It's just like, there's all this information attached to places, things, ideas, and with your video camera, and this is the cool part, basically what your iPhone is doing is what Terminator was doing in his first movie. In his case, he was looking for a pair of pants.
Yeah.
But his eye was able to measure people's pants, you know?
Yeah, get all the details.
Yeah. So, I mean, my fantasy would be to use my camera eye to do the same thing. Maybe I could just walk around. You're seeing what I see. My eye would be able to use the visual data it gets that I send from the transmitter to a receiver, and then it goes into a computer or whatever in my backpack, and I could like literally measure, you know, see if there's a guy who's wearing pants. So I could walk around naked, for example, just like Terminator.
Yeah.
I'm not physically as strong as the Terminator, so the funny part is that it would go really badly and I'd probably get arrested.
Yeah, you'd probably have to pack some chloroform or something, and I could see this being like the pilot episode of your new documentary or series. It would be like a funny scene to recreate. And it sounds to me it's like an explorative cinema kind of effect.
Yeah, there's a few things going on, and it's not necessarily I really intended. A lot of these are happy accidents. But, there's a couple things going on, like, for example, kind of giving the world the experience of a blind person. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty unique, creative thing to do. You'll be able to re-experience what it's like for a blind person. People find really, really interesting is stuff that they're afraid of.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things that this taps into fear-wise. One is privacy and surveillance, and the other one is how technology is creeping deeper and further into our lives and bodies.
Hey, so do you dream in color?
Yeah.
Cool. That's great.
And I dream of electric sheep as well.
Good reference.
So, yeah, but I'm also, my style is, because they've seen Let's All Hate Toronto, is to always have fun with this stuff. Some people complain and like, oh, you should be taking this much more seriously. And I'm like, well, no, I shouldn't actually. It's, part of the fun part of all this is I have read, thousands of comic books. So this is like some kind of weird, fun superhero story that, of course, I'm not a real superhero, but it's fun to pretend and play with that concept. Like the Bionic Man is one of my big childhood heroes, who also has that eye, the Terminator. So I'm playing with and Star Trek, for example. And this all sort of ties into that long presence. Most people who are interested in this stuff have seen every Star Trek and have seen Terminator and, used to like the Bionic Man. So it's also messing around with pop culture.
What was that movie with the chick with the machine gun for a leg? Was that Planet Doom or something?
Yeah, and that's another project. One of the documentaries I was pitching was to go around and work on projects with other people missing parts of their body called Pimp My Gimp. So for example, some young woman who's missing a leg, I could pretty good at getting engineers together and getting them motivated and trying to find a little funding, and it's like, why don't we build you the world's most awesome paintball gun leg? I'm not really disabled, but I'm in the right spirit, I think, and it's not a term that I made up. It's a term that came, most people believe, from the Iraq veteran guys. So it's kind of like the open prosthetics movement in a way. It's just people are feeling less ashamed of missing parts of their body and more aware of the opportunities to augment and also just have fun with these spaces in our bodies that are how much fun would it be for a woman missing a leg to shoot a pop culture inspired sequence where she takes out 20 guys with an incredibly tricked out paintball gun leg?
That would be awesome.
Except it's real. So of course she's not going to think she's a real superhero, but how much fun would that be? And how good would you feel about yourself just messing around? It's fun, and the Iraq veteran guys, they come back from the war, they're missing a leg, for example. Now in the old days in World War II, you get a big boot, a long pair of pants, and try to fit in as much as possible. Maybe people think you have a limp, that's okay.
Right.
But the modern guys, they're out playing football, and they've got this weird black chrome high-performance leg. And they paint it up and they trick it out, and it's called pimping your gimp. It's kind of celebrating your difference, which sounds really dumb and cliche, but not for somebody who's, like, for me, I'm actually quite pleased I lost my eye.
To be alive in this level of enhanced technology, there's lots of opportunity for disabled individuals and to experience a whole new way of life. And I have to ask, Rob, have you seen the Ian Drury documentary, Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll?
No.
He's like this punk rock guy, classic punk rock guy from the 80s, sex and drugs and rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
But I had no idea he lost his leg to polio.
Yeah.
And so the whole documentary is about him overcoming this obstacle and, living the rock and roll lifestyle with basically one leg. But yeah, man, I totally share your vision, no pun intended. And I really appreciate you letting me just call you on the spot here and opening up and telling me about this, because it's really fascinating.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, dude, I'm a big fan. So I'm going to go watch Let's All Hate Toronto again.
Nice.